Hey, this is a quick video to show you how to use this thing that I created called Sentimental. It's a command line program that is an OSC server and client. It takes a string, like I love apples in this case, does some sentiment analysis on it, and then returns through OSC again a decimal number that represents kind of like what the sentiment is. If it's a negative number, it's a negative sentiment. If it's positive. So the way it works is like this diagram shows. In this case, Touch Designer is on the other end. All of this is happening on the same computer, but it could be multiple computers that are one computer running Touch Designer and one running Sentimental. Doesn't matter. The defaults are that they'll all be on the same computer. And anytime you see an address that says 127.0.0.1, that means localhost. That's the same computer you're sitting at. Doesn't matter if you're on the internet or not. And the default ports are 8884 and 885. So if you look at this diagram, the upper left shows Touch Designer with an OSC out DAT. It uses that DAT to send to port 8884 on the same computer, and that's where Sentimental is listening. And once it receives that string, it does the analysis and then sends an OSC message to port 8885. And you can see in the lower left that Touch Designer has an OSC in DAT that is waiting and listening on port 8885 to receive that number. So that's how it all works. The program itself is a command line program. You can download it from GitHub. If you haven't used a command line program before, it's worth reading this. It basically shows you how you can use it, all the different flags that you use to configure it if you don't want to use the defaults, and then how to install it. And it's worth reading the links here if you've never used a command line program before. So if you're on Windows, you'll use Windows Terminal, but the idea is first, whether you're on Mac or Windows or Linux, you'll download this binary to somewhere that terminal that you're typing in will be able to find it. So there's some instructions down here for that. But the link is right here under Releases. If you click Releases, it lists all the different operating systems that you can download for. If you download for Mac OS, it'll be Darwin. And depending on the chip your computer has, it'll be one or the other. For Windows, it's probably going to be x86-64. So I would click that and then uncompress the file that's in there and drop it somewhere that's in my path. If we look at Touch Designer, the stuff on the left here, the couple operators on the left are related to sending the OSC messages, and the ones on the right side are related to receiving the messages from Sentimental. So here on the left, we've got an OSC out DAT. And all we've done here is put in the address, which by default is localhost 127.0.0.1, and the port 8884 by default. That's where it's going to send its message. And the way I'm sending the message is I just created a text DAT here, and I created a variable called vals that is a list of values, but really there's only one in there. But this is the format that I used. And then actually, just from this little bit of Python here, I just referred to this operator down here and told it to send OSC with /text. That's what Sentimental is expecting, and a value of that string. So if I right-click on here and hit Run Script, it has just sent that to port 8884 on this machine. So Sentimental is hopefully there waiting. I don't think it is, though. Let's find it. It's not running. So let's just make this sticky, and then I will run it, Sentimental. And I'm just going to leave the defaults. If I do --help, it'll show me all the options. But if I just leave the defaults there, except for verbose, I'm going to add verbose so that it gives me more information. So it says it's starting the OSC server on the localhost 8884. And if I send a message here by right-clicking and hit Run Script, I'll see the message came in, and it's sending the result to 8885, which is over here. Now, didn't work because if you look at the number 826, it looks like it ends in a 7, and this one doesn't show it. So let's just double check that this is correct. So on this side, we have an OSC in DAT, and we have basically what comes up with that is the callbacks window here. And this is just one function called onReceiveOSC, and anything that's anytime it receives a message, it's going to run what's in here. And what's in here is just taking the message, or not the message, but the actual just the number part of the message, and it's writing it to the text to op, the text part of it. So Pretty easy. I don't know. I don't know if that worked. So let me just make this a little less positive. I really love apples. And try this again. Just right click and hit run script. And we can see the numbers changed. So it's interesting. The number is slightly different. I don't know. I guess it's getting rounded somehow. But that's interesting. 2, 6. Yeah. It's gotten rounded somehow. But that's okay. It's basically the same number. So that's it. That's how this works. And now you can take that number and do something with it in Touch Designer. So good luck.